Over 2,600 years ago, four Hebrew prophets spoke with astonishing clarity about a nation known then as Persia, the land we now call Iran. They didn't speak in riddles or distant metaphors. They described a real place and a real power, real weapons, and even the fall of its leadership. On February 28, 2026, those ancient words were fulfilled in a single night. Iran's supreme leader was killed in joint U.S.-Israeli strikes. The military command structure was shattered, missile sites were destroyed, and yet most reporting the story had no idea that Scripture had outlined it long before Western civilization existed. Today we are looking at four prophecies about Iran that appear to be unfolding in real time. By the end, you will not only see what is happening, you will understand why. Because what the world calls breaking news, God declared centuries ago. The first prophecy comes from Daniel. The question must be asked plainly: is Iran actually in the Bible? Not symbolically, not by creative interpretation, directly. In the third year of King Belshazzar, Daniel received a vision while standing beside the Uli Canal in Susa, a real city in what is now southwestern Iran. From within that territory, God revealed the future of the nation itself. Daniel saw a ram with two horns, one higher than the other, pushing west, north, and south with unstoppable force. Troubled by the vision, he was given the interpretation by the angel Gabriel, who stated clearly that the ram represented the kings of Media and Persia. This was not speculation, it was explained inside the text. Media and Persia form the historic and geographic core of modern Iran. The ram's expansion westward, northward, and southward mirrors the ancient Persian Empire's conquest. Even today, Iran projects influence west through regional militias, south toward the Arabian Peninsula, and north through strategic alliances. But in Daniel's vision, the ram is eventually struck down by a power from the west, and its dominance is broken. Daniel revealed Iran's rise and aggression, but not its final alliances. That picture is expanded in Ezekiel 38. The prophet describes a last days coalition led by a ruler from the far north, identified as Gog from the land of Magog. This leader forms a military alliance against Israel, and among the nations named specifically is Persia. Alongside Persia are Cush, Put, Gomer, and Beth Togarmah, regions broadly corresponding to parts of modern Sudan, Libya, Turkey, and areas north of Israel. 5 nations listed individually 25 centuries before any modern partnership existed. Today we see increasing military coordination and strategic cooperation between nations that align strikingly with that ancient list. One coincidence might be dismissed, but a pattern spanning continents demands attention. Jeremiah brings the focus even closer. Instead of addressing Persia as a whole, he speaks of Elam, a specific region in southwestern Iran. God declares, "I will break the bow of Elam, the foremost of their might." In the ancient world, Elam's bow symbolized long-range military strength. Today, Iran's primary power lies in its missile systems, its ability to project force across great distances. Jeremiah describes 4 winds coming from every direction against Elam, suggesting forces converging simultaneously. Recent strikes targeted infrastructure, command centers, and defensive systems from multiple directions, dismantling what had been considered untouchable strength. Then comes a striking statement: "I will set my throne in Elam and destroy from there the king and the princes." On February 28, 2026, Iran's supreme authority fell. The leader who held ultimate power over military, judicial, and nuclear policy was killed, along with senior officials and commanders. In a single night, the leadership structure was fractured. Words written more than 2 millennia ago describe the removal of both king and princes. Yet Jeremiah does not end with destruction. In the final verse of the passage, he writes, "In the latter days I will restore the fortunes of Elam." Judgment is not the final word. There is a promise of restoration embedded within the prophecy. "I will set my throne in Elam" may point beyond politics. For decades, Christianity in Iran has faced suppression, church closures, arrests, and restrictions. Yet despite intense pressure, the underground church has grown. House gatherings continue quietly. Testimonies speak of individuals encountering Jesus in dreams and visions. What political power tried to erase has continued to spread beneath the surface. A different kind of throne may be rising.
Isaiah once called Elam to rise against ancient Babylon, declaring its fall. Centuries later, Revelation echoes the same declaration regarding the final global system opposed to God. Across Daniel, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, and Isaiah, different prophets across different centuries, the same nation appears woven into the broader prophetic narrative. But the story does not end with Iran. Ezekiel describes the coalition ultimately moving toward Israel. Zechariah speaks of nations gathering against Jerusalem and of the Lord himself intervening, his feet standing on the Mount of Olives, the same place from which Jesus ascended. The prophetic arc points toward his return. Iran's rise, alliances, and upheaval are not isolated events. They fit within a larger framework that points toward a climactic moment, the return of Christ to Jerusalem, not as a child in a manger, but as king. What we are witnessing may not be the end, but the beginning of the end. The same God who named the nation, the region, the weapon, and the leaders has also declared what comes next. The question is not whether prophecy speaks clearly. The question is whether we are prepared for what follows. Now I want to hear from you. How are these events shaping the way you read Scripture? What do you believe is coming next? Let me know in the comments. I read everyone.